I gazed out at the beautiful azure waters and watched the small waves lapping onto the snow-white sand. I had felt such peace, such happiness, being here with my bride as we celebrated our 30th anniversary. Moments ago, the tranquility of this paradise island had been destroyed. "Mary, let me get this straight," I said, struggling to keep my voice calm. "We are here celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary on this romantic island, and you're telling me you want to spend the night with another man? How can you even ask me such a question?" "Mark, honey, don't be that way," Mary replied. "You know I love you more than anything. I just want to do this for John and Amy. I know you were just as moved by their story as I was. It would be just one night. One night to bring a little bit of happiness to an old man who is dying and lonely. And besides, it's not like you will be left all alone. I've seen the way you look at Amy. She is a beautiful young woman." "Yes, Amy is a beautiful young woman," I said firmly. "But she is not my wife. I know she wants you to be with her father and is willing to be intimate with me to seal the deal. But she is not my wife. I have never cheated on you, and until 5 minutes ago, I believed you would never cheat on me." "I have never cheated on you. Mark and I never will," Mary insisted. "That's why we're having this conversation. Amy and I talked about this all afternoon while you and John were out on the jet skis. She knows how lonely John has been since he lost his wife 3 years ago. Now, with his diagnosis, he has less than 6 months to live. Mark, she just wants him to enjoy the pleasure of a woman one more time before he's too sick to do so." "But why you?" I asked. "Why not just get a professional companion for him? Hell, if they can afford to vacation on this island, they can afford a companion." "Amy said she tried that on the mainland before they left, and John got very angry with her," Mary explained. "He doesn't believe in paying for companionship. He says any woman coming to his bed must do so willingly and with desire for him, not his money." "So, you're saying you desire John?" I asked incredulously. "I thought this was out of pity. But now you're saying you desire him. So this is not just about being kind and loving to a dying man. You want to be with this old guy." "Don't be crude," Mary snapped. "Yes, John is a handsome and charming man. He has a kind and gentle manner, but he is also very manly. So while I wouldn't be doing this if he were not dying, I admit, I think I will enjoy it. But having said that, just look at Amy. She is 20 years younger than us and is gorgeous. You can't tell me you won't enjoy that." "So, Mary," I said with growing anger, "it sounds like you've already decided you will spend the night in his bed. I'm guessing Amy has told John of your desire. Have you discussed it with him? Did you already tell him I agreed to let you do this?" "Yes, Mark," Mary admitted. "I spoke to John while you were showering. I told him a little white lie. I told him we have swapped before and you really wanted to be with Amy. Amy told him she was eager to be with you too. He was very reluctant but finally agreed. I told him I'd come to their villa at 7:30 and Amy will come here at the same time." "So you asking my permission was actually you just telling me it's a done deal," I responded bitterly. "I really have no say in this at all. Well, let me tell you, I do not agree. If you do this, our marriage may be forever damaged. I can't stop you without physically restraining you, and you know I'd never harm you, but this will surely harm us." "Mark, it's just something I feel compelled to do," Mary insisted. "Making love to a lonely older man, giving him one last chance to feel like a real man. I just have to do this for him. Please, Mark, enjoy your time with Amy, and tomorrow we'll be together again forever." Mary stood and walked back into our villa to prepare for her evening. I sat and looked out at the water. How could this be happening to me? My wife is abandoning me to spend the night with a man we only met a couple of days ago, a man who must be at least 60 years old. Mary has always been soft-hearted and now she wants to give some smooth-talking old guy her sympathy? No, that's just her justification. She digs this old charmer and is using his diagnosis as an excuse to be with the guy. Well, I'm not going to make it easy for her. I got up and marched into the villa. Mary was dressed in a light summer dress and sandals. I could smell the expensive perfume I'd given her before we left home. She was putting her second diamond earring on. "Stop!" I shouted. "I bought you those earrings as an expression of my love for you, not to make you look good while you cheat on me. Take them off! And you're not wearing the perfume I bought you. Wash it off immediately. It's bad enough you are humiliating me and betraying me tonight. I'll be damned if you're going to do it while wearing my anniversary gifts." "Mark, you're being silly," Mary protested. "I'm not betraying you. We agreed. We are swapping. You will be with Amy. Now go away and let me get dressed." I took 3 quick strides across the room and grabbed her left wrist. I worked her wedding rings off her finger and held out my hand. "Give me the earrings or I'll tear them from your ears." With a horrified look, Mary removed her earrings and placed them in my hand. I put them in my pocket and turned to leave. "Don't bother to come back tomorrow. You can just stay with them." I went to the fridge, grabbed a 6-pack of beer, and went back out to my chair on the beach. I drank some of the beer and stared at the water. My mind was swirling. What should I do? What can I do? If Mary came to me right now and said she had called it off, I am not sure I could forgive her. If she goes to him tonight, our marriage is over. I sat and stewed for over an hour before Amy approached me. "Mark," Amy called softly. "I was looking for you. Do you want me to join you here, or do you want to go inside?" Amy walked around my chair and stood in front of me. "Amy, you are a beautiful young woman, but I am a married man, at least for the time being," I replied firmly. "I know you and Mary had an agreement for this evening, but I never agreed to your plan. I told Mary I did not agree, and she went to John anyway. She is cheating on me with your father, and I will divorce her as soon as we get home." "Oh my God, Mark!" Amy exclaimed. "You can't mean that. You know why she is doing this. It is an act of kindness. She's not cheating. She loves you, and I know you love her. Please, Mark, let me take your mind off of it." Amy slipped one thin strap of her summer dress off her shoulder, then the other, letting the dress glide softly to her feet. Standing gracefully, she took a deep breath, her posture accentuating her figure. She was indeed a beauty. Her light blonde hair drifted in the breeze, her confident stance clear in every detail. Her hands rested elegantly on her hips, her bright red nails contrasting with her sun-kissed skin. She held my gaze, a knowing smile playing on her lips. "I think we could have some fun," Amy suggested. "She is having her fun. You deserve some fun, too. Mark, I have really been looking forward to being with you tonight. Please, let's go inside and let me help you forget all about her for one evening." My eyes drank in the attractive blonde as she reached out to me and asked me to take her inside. The 4 beers I'd had were almost enough to allow my desire to overrule my brain, but my anger was still there. I stood and grabbed Amy's hand and marched into my villa. I went straight to the bedroom, telling Amy to grab the wine from the fridge. I stepped into the bedroom and slammed the door shut. I slid the small bolt into place to lock the door. "Mark!" Amy called. "Let me in!" "Why are you doing this? Please, Mark, open the door and let me in, please, Mark." "Amy, my wife has decided to betray our vows," I called back. "That doesn't mean I have to follow suit. I made a vow, and I will keep it until I can divorce her. You can leave or you can sleep on the couch. Either way, you're not sleeping with me." Amy tried a few more times to convince me to open the door before finally giving up. I got into bed and pulled a pillow over my head. I was emotionally drained, and with the help of the beer, I fell asleep. But even before sleep claimed me, an idea began to take shape. Something about Amy's desperation to be with me felt off. John's sad story, the convenient timing, Amy's instant attraction to a man 30 years her senior, it all seemed too convenient. If I was being played, I would make damn sure everyone involved paid for it. I awoke to more pounding on the bedroom door. "Mark, open up, let me in! Mark!" This time the voice belonged to my unfaithful, soon-to-be ex-wife. She pounded on the door. "Mark, honey, please open the door. We need to talk. We need to put this all behind us. Please, Mark. I love you. I know I've hurt you. But it's over now, and we can be together today. Please, Mark. This is our last day on the island. I want to spend it with you, my husband, the only man I've ever loved." The bright, late morning sun filled the room. My head ached a little, and the pounding on my door didn't help it at all. I got out of bed, went to the door, and threw the bolt open. Mary burst into the room and came rushing up to hug me. I stiff-armed her and pushed her away. "Don't touch me!" I shouted angrily. "You come to me, fresh from his bed, and expect me welcome you into my arms? You must have completely lost your mind. I can smell him on you from here. Get in the shower and clean yourself." Mary gasped in horror and then burst into tears. She turned and ran to the bathroom crying, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't think. Mark, please, I'll be out in just a few moments. I'm so sorry." I went into the kitchen and made some coffee. I wished we had cell service on the island so I could get out of here before our 6 p.m. departure time. I looked at the clock, 11:30. That means I have to be alone with her all day. While she showered, I quickly slipped outside. I activated the satellite phone I'd brought for emergencies and dialed my best friend, Roger, who happened to be a private investigator. I gave him the names John Phillips and Amy Phillips, explained my suspicions, and asked him to run a thorough background check immediately. I needed answers before we left the island. Mary walked into the kitchen. She had wrapped a towel around herself, and her wet locks hung down onto her bare shoulders. 2 days ago, I would have sprung from my chair and gathered my beautiful bride into my arms. Today, I just stared at her as I sipped my coffee. "Mark?" Mary asked hesitantly. "I'm all clean now. I washed everything several times." "Mark? Please, I'm still me. I'm still your wife. Please, baby, say something." "Get some clothes on, and then we need to talk about what's going to happen," I replied coldly. But, Mark," Mary pleaded. "Aren't you going to reclaim your wife? Amy and John said you'd want to reclaim me. They said you'd show me you still want me. Please, Mark, I want you to reclaim me. Make me yours again." "Quiet," I shouted. "I will never touch you again. Now get in there and put some clothes on." Mary burst into tears and ran into the bedroom, slamming the door. She came back out as I poured the last of the coffee into my cup. Mary saw the empty pot and knew not to ask me to make more coffee. She quietly refilled the pot and turned it on. Once brewed, she poured a cup and sat down at the table. "Mark," Mary began nervously, "Amy told me you locked her out last night. I don't understand why you did that. I thought you would have enjoyed that young woman all night and then been eager to tell me all about it this morning. I thought we'd have a good laugh about our adventures, then you'd make love to me all day." "Who are you?" I asked incredulously. "You can't be the same woman I married 30 years ago. How could you ever believe I'd be okay with that plan?" "Mark, we're on a tiny island. The other 2 villas are empty, so it is just the 4 of us," Mary explained. "No one would have ever known what we did here. You had a beautiful young woman begging you to be with her, and you had my blessing to do so. What man in his right mind would pass up that opportunity?" "You just don't get it," I exclaimed. "I loved you, only you. It wouldn't matter that no one else would know what I did, because I would know what I did. I took a vow, and vows mean you do what you said you'd do, even if there is no one watching you. Obviously, your vows didn't mean anything to you, but they meant everything to me, and you broke them." "Mark, I thought you'd enjoy it," Mary said defensively. "I knew you were a little hurt, but I thought once you started with Amy, you'd really enjoy yourself. I didn't know you'd locked her out of the bedroom until she told us this morning. I just assumed you had a wonderful night, just like—" "Just like you, Mary?" I interrupted angrily. "You mean just like your wonderful night with John?" "Yes, damn it," Mary shot back. "It was a wonderful night. John is an excellent companion, and I did have a wonderful night. You could have had a wonderful night too, but no, you had to be a saint. Well, it's your own fault you missed your wonderful night." I waited until I had my anger under control. Then I spoke calmly. "No, Mary. I had already had 5 wonderful nights with you. I didn't need or want a wonderful night with Amy. I was looking forward to another wonderful night with you, but you chose to be with John because you believed he needed you. Well, I needed you too, but I guess that just wasn't important to you." I got up and went out to my beach chair. I pulled my beach hat down over my eyes and pretended to sleep while waiting for Roger's call. When my satellite phone vibrated in my pocket, I quietly walked down the beach to take the call. "Mark," Roger said grimly, "you were right. These people are con artists. Real names Ron Cook and Amber Jones. They've pulled this scam at least 4 times that I can trace, targeting older couples celebrating anniversaries at exclusive resorts. The dying man routine is their signature. They get the wife to sleep with Cook, then a few months later, Jones contacts the wife claiming Cook died, and they need money to transport his body back to the States." "The bastard," I hissed, and Mary fell for it. "There's more," Roger continued. "Cook has bragged online about how he enjoys holding husbands and then making them pay for it. He's got quite a reputation in certain unsavory circles." "Send me everything you've got," I said, feeling a cold rage settle in me. "And Roger, I need one more favor." An hour later, a large shadow crossed in front of me. I looked up into the smirking face of my wife's companion. "Hey, buddy, I'm real sorry about the mix-up," John said. "I swear I thought you were on board with the plan last night." He tried to appear sincere, but couldn't quite hide that smirk. I knew now it had all been a ruse. This con man had sold Mary a sob story, and she fell for it. This guy enjoys being with married women and uses Amy to help make it happen. "I understand, John," I said as I slowly stood up. John had stuck out his right hand to shake. I looked into his face, and his smirk was one of triumph. He truly believed he had pulled one over on me. I casually lifted my left hand in an awkward handshake. John shifted his eyes to my left hand. I brought my right fist up from below my right hip and drove it into his throat. Instantly, John grabbed at his throat with both hands and staggered back. I stepped forward and kicked him forcefully between the legs. John dropped to his knees and I slammed an elbow into the side of his head. I thought seriously about dragging his limp body down into the water, but then I heard Mary scream. I turned and saw her running toward me. She ran right past me to the unconscious man sprawled on the beach. "Oh my God! What have you done? Oh, John, are you all right?" Mary cried, lightly slapping John, urging him back to consciousness. I had to laugh. She was slapping him quite near where I smashed him with my elbow. I figured that had to hurt. Too bad. I walked back up to the villa and went inside to get a beer and a spot of lunch. I sat on the porch and watched Mary and Amy help the bulky John stagger back to his villa. When he got near, he turned to look at me. The smirk of triumph was gone. In its place, I saw only fear. I didn't see Mary until just before the island boat arrived. She quickly packed her things and bustled them down to the pier. When we got on the boat, Amy and Mary talked to a crewman, and I assumed he used the radio to contact the mainland because we were met by a uniformed policeman of some sort. "Mark and Mary Stevens?" the officer asked. I nodded. "Please come with me." We followed the man into a small office and he pointed to a couple of chairs. We sat and he offered us a drink before becoming serious. "I understand you had a run-in with Ron Cook and his friend Amber Jones," the officer stated. "No, officer, you have it wrong," Mary protested. "They are the Phillips, John and his daughter Amy." She glared at me. "Oh, those were the names they used this time?" the officer asked skeptically. "I beg your pardon, officer. John and Amy are my new friends, and my husband attacked poor John for no reason whatever," Mary insisted. "Madame, do me a favor and be quiet," the officer said firmly. "I want to talk to Mr. Stevens and I don't want to be interrupted." I laughed. "Please call me Mark. Now how can I help you, officer?" "Mark, I think you must have figured out Cook's game and that's why you expressed your displeasure during your conversation," the officer suggested. You could say that, I replied with a cold smile. My friend sent over quite a file on Mr. Cook and Miss Jones. The gentleman laughed. Well, Mark, this is the 5th time Cook has run this game on some gullible tourist. At least it's the 5th one we've learned about through some sort of complaint or altercation. I have no idea how many times he actually got away with it. I understand the next step is for Miss Jones to contact your wife in a few months and tell her Cook passed away. She will then ask the wife for some money to help get Cook's body back to the States to be buried next to his late wife. Wow, that's a bigger con than I realized, I said. He cons the wives into being with him and then gets his accomplice to con them for some cash. Quite a scheme. Yes, but thanks to you, I'm guessing he will be retiring from the game, at least at our resort, the officer noted. In fact, we've got enough evidence from prior victims to press charges, should you want to be a witness. So who is Jones? She is obviously not his daughter, I asked. Amber Jones was a dancer in a club in Miami when Cook met her, the officer explained. He had just won a small lottery prize and convinced her he was very wealthy. She traveled around with him for a while until he hit on this scam, and now that's pretty much all they do. She wants to be an actor and thought this would help her learn. Cook just loves betraying the husbands and then having their wives send Amber some of their money. He bragged it was like having the husbands pay him for being with their wives. At this point, Mary, who had tears sliding down her face, began to sob. Oh my God, I am so stupid. I gave up my husband for a lie. Mrs. Stevens, you are not the first woman to be conned by these two, the officer said sympathetically. I have 2 other ladies that want to press fraud charges against Cook and Jones. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Stevens, if you wish to forego pressing charges, I think I can persuade Mr. Cook to do likewise. In any event, your plane leaves in the morning, and once you're in the air, you are out of my jurisdiction. I looked at Mary, who nodded and said, I just want to go home. Please, Mark, just take me home. But I had different plans. Actually, officer, I'd like to press charges. In fact, I'd like to make sure these 2 never pull this scam again. Mary's eyes widened in horror. Mark, please, I just want to forget this ever happened. That's the difference between us, Mary, I said coldly. You want to forget. I want justice. The next morning, before our flight home, I met with the officer and the resort security team. They had found evidence of Cook and Jones scamming multiple couples, and I signed the necessary papers to join the case against them. Mary refused to cooperate, but my testimony would be enough. Once home, my revenge plan truly began. I had served Mary with divorce papers before we even reached our house. She begged, pleaded, and promised to do anything to save our marriage, but my mind was made up. Mark, please, she sobbed on our first night home. I made a terrible mistake. I was manipulated. Yes, you were, I agreed calmly, because you wanted to be. Because some part of you wanted that night with him, con or no con. What Mary didn't know was that Roger had helped me secure the services of the best divorce attorney in the state, one who specialized in infidelity cases. We had already moved significant assets, all legally but strategically, to protect what I'd built over 3 decades. I also had something more. During our marriage, Mary had insisted on handling all our charitable donations. I discovered she had been skimming from these accounts for years to fund a secret shopping addiction. Designer clothes hidden at her sister's house, jewelry in a safety deposit box I knew nothing about. Roger's investigation had uncovered it all. I shared the evidence of her financial misconduct with our children before Mary could spin her version of events. I wasn't vindictive. I simply told them the truth. About the island, about the con, and about the financial deception going back years. They were stunned but ultimately supportive of me. The divorce was brutal. When Mary's financial improprieties were presented in court, she lost any chance at spousal support or an equal division of assets. The judge awarded me 80% of our estate. Her reputation in our social circle was ruined when the details of both her island adventure and her financial duplicity came to light. 6 months after our divorce was finalized, Mary was living in a small apartment, working a retail job, and being shunned by most of our friends. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding my life. My daughter, seeing my loneliness, introduced me to her next-door neighbor, Elizabeth, a widow with a kind heart and genuine integrity. We hit it off immediately. Elizabeth had never been the type to chase material things or status, values I now recognized as essential. 2 years after the island incident, Elizabeth and I were married in a small ceremony with only close family and friends. Mary wasn't invited, of course, though I heard she stood across the street watching as we emerged from the church. Cook and Jones were eventually convicted of fraud and sent to prison. Their trial made national news, and several other victims came forward. Mary had to testify, her humiliation complete as the details of her betrayal became public record. On our first anniversary, Elizabeth suggested we take a vacation. "Somewhere quiet," she said, "maybe with mountains instead of beaches." I smiled and kissed her. "Mountains sound perfect," I replied. "I've had enough paradise islands to last a lifetime." Sometimes I think back on everything and marvel at how a trip to paradise ended my 30-year marriage. Mary lost everything, her husband, her reputation, her lifestyle, and her dignity, all for a night with a con man. I lost my illusions about the woman I'd loved for 3 decades. But in the end, I found something better. A life built on honesty and real love. And I can guarantee you, Elizabeth and I will not be spending any anniversaries at an island paradise. And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.